From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Welcome to this week's episode of Loyola News Chicago. I'm Israel Zamley.
And I'm Henry Redmond. Here's today's news. The university has temporarily suspended Loyola's chapter of Alpha Sigma Alpha after the sorority was lifted from probation only last year. The Loyola Phoenix reports an investigation into possible misconduct, including hazing, after 9 anonymous allegations were made, one of which was an ASA member, and several emails to the Loyola Phoenix. The Office of Student Conduct and Conflict Resolutions Director said the university has been made aware of violations to its policies regarding hazing, harassment, and bullying. These reports were submitted to the Ethics Line, an anonymous hotline for ethical concerns on campus. Mary Norkel is the Loyola Phoenix assistant news editor who broke the story. She said the sorority still doesn't know what they're under investigation for.
There's no further details as of right now. Jeff Gardner from the Office of Student Conduct and Conflict Resolution, he basically said everything's going to depend on the investigation and he doesn't know how long it will take.
The suspension is an interim measure according to the university, but it doesn't know how long it will last. The investigation is currently underway.
Alpha Sigma Alpha is Loyola's third Greek life organization to be suspended in the past year. The university put Sigma Alpha Epsilon, one of Loyola's all-male social fraternities, under suspension for hazing and disorderly conduct last March. And Loyola's co-ed business fraternity, Kappa Psi, was also suspended in September, which the Phoenix previously reported was for a variety of charges, including hazing and alcohol violations. Both of the suspensions are for a lengthy period of time. Loyola's Panhellenic Council hopes to add 1 or 2 new sororities to campus by the fall semester because of the increase in women deciding to go through recruitment. 511 girls went through the formal recruitment process earlier this semester, with each of the 6 sororities on campus taking in close to 90 new members. Loyola's Panhellenic Council even added an extra day to the recruitment process this year. Last year, about 75 new members were welcomed into each of the 6 sororities, and the pledged class sizes are now almost double what they were 4 years ago. Sororities are becoming more popular, partly because of the growing female ratio at Loyola, with about 65% women to 35% men. The Panhellenic Council is currently deciding between Delta Gamma, Kappa Delta, or Phi Mu to begin their recruitment on Loyola's campus.
1 week ago, 17 students and staff members were killed in a shooting at a South Florida high school. The cycle of news coverage and social media outrage after a mass shooting has become predictable, but the victims are changing the playbook. The students of the high school have turned their tragedy into activism. In the 1 week since the shooting, they've gone to Tallahassee to push for gun reform, appeared in a CNN town hall, met with President Trump, and planned a national march on Washington. Following the strong reactions from the high school students, Allison Klein reports on what students at Loyola had to say.
There's no further details as of right now. Jeff Gardner from the Office of Student Conduct and
106 people are shot every day in the U.S. 40% of those guns are bought without the 1993 U.S. Brady background check, and Loyola students are not afraid to voice their opinion about the issue.
I think it is scary. I think that anything that can be put into action to help prevent gun violence is a plus. I mean, nobody likes seeing anybody get hurt.
I don't really feel like there's a necessity for teachers to have guns in the classroom. It should honestly just be finished with, because in Australia they had a mass shooting and then they made gun control laws, and then ever since there hasn't been a mass shooting event since then. But we're the only nation that has so many gun issues, so there obviously needs to be a change.
I mean, I think there's a lot that goes into it. It's a really tough debate to have. I understand Second Amendment, the whole Second Amendment argument is really tough.
The shooting that happened last week at a South Florida high school was the 18th mass shooting to happen in 2018. As the debate continues to go back and forth, no decisions have been made to enforce stricter gun laws. I'm Allison Klein, Loyola News Chicago.
Loyola University has taken a stance against gun violence as one of their many social justice initiatives.
Loyola's journalism department recently opened a storefront newsroom using a grant from the McCormick Foundation. The The newsroom, which is located on Sheridan Road, focuses on reporting local news for the Rogers Park and Edgewater neighborhoods.
Loyola, as you know, sits on the border of both neighborhoods. So this news bureau and this storefront is the perfect location.
Operated by the Chicago Tribune, donated the money to help replace DNA Info, a local news source that is no longer operating. The news site is called the Rogers Edge Reporter and officially launched this week. Students from Sun High School, a local Edgewater school, will also make use of the new newsroom on Sheridan. The high school students will be invited to collaborate with Loyola students on creating content for the Rogers Edge Reporter. The partnership with Sun High School will allow younger students to learn from the older, more experienced journalism students.
Sometimes Loyola students live in a bubble and they tend to stay on the two campuses and they don't really venture out much beyond a 3-block radius. What's great about the partnership with Sun is that they can tell the Loyola students what's really going on in the places they live and go to school in.
The Rogers Edge Reporter hopes to fill the gap in covering local news around Loyola and helping students explore more of their community. Rogers Park is about to start seeing some new shopping options. Jackie Dries reports on the new developments coming to the community.
Sounds of hammers and drilling have occupied the corner of Sheridan Road and Devon Avenue, as construction of the Concord at Sheridan has begun these past few weeks. The development will bring a drugstore-sized Target and affordable housing to Rogers Park, and 49th Ward Alderman Joe Morris says the proximity of the new Target will benefit students.
It's going to be very convenient, not just household goods, but if you wanted to have a quick grab-and-go snack, something like that, it's right across the street. I think the students will really love it.
While some Loyola students may be excited about the project, 21-year-old Sharon Daly and her roommates live directly behind the development site and are dealing with the negative aspects of its construction.
Since we are right next to it, homework and anything that requires focus is a bit of a struggle because our apartment literally shakes. It moves with the drilling and with whatever it is that they're doing over there.
Daly and her roommates received a letter from Madison Construction a week after work began, citing the crew's schedule and stages of construction. But the girls are worried about the high-rise building affecting their space once it's complete.
That back room, the kitchen, we barely get any light as is. And now with a structure being built up, we're gonna completely lose light on that side of our apartment. But we will also have a Target close by, so it's win-lose.
The project has also temporarily displaced pedestrians, who are now being asked to walk on the other side of the street while construction goes on. Morris says these inconveniences are worth it because of the service the 7-story development will ultimately provide for the community.
Madison Construction says they'll complete their work on the project in March of 2018, but it's unclear just how long pedestrians will be unable to use the sidewalk. Jackie Dries, Loyola News, Chicago.
Once the project is finished, Alderman Moore says it'll bring in an estimated $650,000 a year in sales and property taxes.
Coming up, the Phoenix had a lot to celebrate this weekend.
Also, the men's basketball team accomplished something that they have never done before in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Life is full of distractions. Some are minor. Rash, look who it is. Others are more severe.
This can't be happening. This can't be happening.
Of course it's not happening. Armored car. Listen, having money isn't about luck. Make your own coffee, save $1,000 a year. Feed me. Feed the pig.
Claire Philpy is here with an update on sports.
The Loyola men's basketball team traveled to Carbondale, Illinois last night to face Missouri Valley Conference opponent Southern Illinois University. The Ramblers were seeking a victory that would give them outright possession of first place in the MVC and the #1 seed in the MVC tournament. Loyola shot 57.4% from the field, holding SIU to just 42.6%. This allowed Loyola to never give up the lead. The Ramblers beat the Salukis 75-56, bringing their record to 24-5 overall and 14-3 in conference play. This win marks the first time Loyola has won an outright season championship since the 1984-85 season and the first time ever in the MVC. Loyola's final game of the regular season will be played in the sold-out Gentile Arena on February 24th against Illinois State University. According to public records, Loyola men's basketball coach Porter Moser saw a salary raise of $35,000 last year. Loyola News reporter Haley Spittler asked students how they feel about his pay.
Last semester, the Loyola Phoenix reported that the men's basketball head coach, Porter Moser, made just over $420,000 in the fiscal year between 2016 and 2017. That was the 4th highest salary at Loyola.
I feel like it's a bit much. I feel like sports in general, I feel like, especially in school settings, high school, colleges especially, tend to be a little bit overrated.
I think Porter Moser's salary is fair because he got us #1 in the conference and he's bringing in a lot of revenue for Loyola as well.
I mean, I honestly don't really know much of what he does, but that does seem like a lot of money to be put towards a very small amount of Loyola students.
I think if Loyola is going to be a really good athletic school, that is a good amount. Right now, I don't think Loyola is a very athletic school, so I think that's a pretty high amount. But if we're going to have this new practice facility and we're going to be in the NCAA tournament, I think it's a good amount.
The Loyola student body had mixed reactions as to whether or not Porter Moser's salary is fair, despite the men's basketball team being #1 in the conference. Haley Spittler, Loyola News Chicago.
Coach Moser started his position at Loyola back in 2011. Last spring, extended his contract through 2022. Sister Jean, the 98-year-old men's basketball team chaplain, returned for the game against Missouri State University on February 3rd. Sister Jean's return comes after a 3-month absence from Loyola after breaking her hip bone and femur. Even though she couldn't be in Gentile Arena, she watched the games from home and still sent her post-game scouting reports. Sister Jean was quoted saying, "Everybody, even the fellows who sit on the bench, get an email from me." The women's basketball team is starting to find some success this season. The Ramblers took on Missouri Valley Conference opponent Southern Illinois University February 18th in Gentile Arena. Loyola was led by grad student Jessica Serda, who scored a season high of 19 points. Freshman guards Abby O'Connor and Kaylin Strawbridge contributed to Ramblers' win, scoring 14 and 13 points respectively. Loyola shot 46.8% from the field to SIU's 37. The Ramblers beat the Salukis 62-53, making this their 4th MVC win of the season. Their record is now 6-19 overall and 4-10 in conference play. The women's basketball team will travel to Evansville, Indiana on Friday to take on the University of Evansville. Junior outside hitter Colin Mahan was awarded the Midwestern Intercollegiate Volleyball Association Offensive Player of the Week on February 20th. This season, Mahan has averaged 3.51 kills, 1.33 digs, and 0.37 blocks per set. The American Volleyball Coaches Association poll that was released on February 19th, the Ramblers dropped to the 8th spot behind MIVA opponent number 4 ranked The Ohio State University. The Ramblers are kicking off a 5-game homestand on February 23rd against McKendree University and February 24th against The Ohio State University. That's it for this week's sports.
Thanks, Claire. It's definitely exciting to see the men's basketball team be the MVC regular season champions.
Definitely is.
The Loyola Phoenix won 23 awards at the Illinois College Press Association Convention February 17th. The paper competed in both the open category, which includes all student newspapers in Illinois, and the non-daily with more than 4,000 students category. The Phoenix won 6 first-place awards, including my own win for Best Sports Feature Story. The paper also won 2nd place in General Excellence, making it the 2nd best student newspaper in the state, behind Columbia College Chicago. This year's 23 awards beat the 10 awards the Phoenix won in 2016. Phoenix editor-in-chief Julie Whitehair is proud of how well the paper did this year at the convention, but is more proud of the work her staff has done to accurately report on Loyola. Okay, so Julie is not, her quote isn't here, but
Coming up, how Loyola's neighborhood is getting the Hollywood treatment.
we will also take a closer look at some undergraduates who have a unique background.
I had a really good time.
Give me your wallet. No one gets her.
Sir, we don't want any trouble, please.
Empty your pockets.
Wow. Those knitting lessons really paid off.
That was nuts. It's crazy.
That was fun.
Crazy. You got some killer dance moves. You're tearing up that dance floor.
You weren't too by yourself.
Nah, I try. So what are you trying to do now? I don't live too far. Go back to my place, have a beer?
I'm down. Let's do it.
Yo, what's up, Brandy? Crazy seeing you here.
Oh, what's up? How you been?
Nothing, just some slapjacks. Probably just gonna head home and kick it. Yeah, so who do we have here?
Oh, my bad, dude. We just met. This is Stacy.
Nice to meet you. Yo, Brandy, you might want to double check who you're bringing home tonight. She might not be who you think she is.
What are you talking about? She's beautiful. All right, step aside, homie. I'm gonna go home, enjoy the rest of my night. Stacy, let's go.
Are you ready for that fun surprise tomorrow morning? Know Your Limits, sponsored by the state of Illinois.
Some Loyola students have very interesting stories to share. Carla Rogner is here to tell us more about that.
Thanks, Henry. You're right. Some students will gain different sorts of professional experience before school. Not all students begin college right after their senior year of high school. Some will gain unique experience before they start their freshman years. I talked to two students whose past set them apart from their peers. Loyola senior Devin Zayas is a bit older than most of his classmates. He is a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, where he built airplanes and fixed computer networks during 6 years of active duty service. He served at bases in Alaska and Japan, in addition to a 6-month deployment in Kyrgyzstan. A current member of the Illinois National Guard, Zayas says his time in the military inspired him to attend college.
Never really cared about college. It wasn't actually until I was in the Air Force that I realized how important education was.
Loyola is home for close to 200 veterans who are now students. Ross Burgess, a Loyola junior and health systems management major, is also a veteran. He served 4 years as an Army medic and now works in Loyola's Office of Military Veteran Student Services. The 2-year-old office provides a community for student veterans in addition to financial and emotional support services. Burgess says it is important to reach out to veterans and help them transition from being a service member to part of the Loyola community.
People in the military, myself included, really run on having an order and a regimen of things and clear instructions. And sometimes college can be kind of self-directed, or you might feel a little bit adrift, and therefore people become disenfranchised and then they stop going.
Zayas agrees that the lack of structure in college is the hardest part of transitioning from service member to student.
In the military, you're always told what to do, where to go, where to be. And I go to school and it's okay, just study. All right, was that it? Where do I go?
Despite their age differences, the student veterans are still able to create bonds with their classmates.
We're just like you, and we want to connect with you as much as you want to connect with your peers. We don't want to feel like we're distant, I guess, or unapproachable. Really good people when you get to know us.
The Post 9/11 GI Bill helps veterans who served after September 2011 to attend college. It offers $28,000, and Loyola's Yellow Room partnership with the Veteran Administration covers the rest of tuition. I never knew that so many of my fellow peers were veterans.
You're right. Thanks, Carla.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders will be in Chicago today at the Apollo's 2000 Performing Center, where a campaign rally for Jesus Chuy Garcia is being held. Garcia is running for representative of the 4th Congressional District. Ahead of his arrival in Chicago, Sanders said, "We desperately need people like Chuy Garcia in Congress." Garcia has 2 opponents in this race: Sol Flores, a member of the City of Chicago Zoning Board of Appeals, and Richard Gonzalez, a sergeant in the Chicago Police Department. Sanders will next head to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Iowa. A new movie set and filmed in the Rogers Park neighborhood will be screened this week.
Let's enjoy everything that we've worked so hard to make. Okay? Oh, I love you. The year of this, Chris.
The film is simply titled Rogers Park. It follows the lives of 2 couples as they struggle to deal with the pressures of middle age. The film features Antoine McKay and Sarah Sevigny, who both have had guest starring roles on the hit television show Empire. It was originally released at the Chicago International Film Festival late last year. It is now set to have its Chicago premiere tomorrow at the Gene Siskel Film Center. It will be screened 4 times between now and next Wednesday. The movie will begin at 8 p.m., but some of the cast and crew members will be there at 7 to participate in a Q&A. You can buy tickets now on the Gene Siskel Film Center website.
I don't know, it seems pretty interesting to see a movie about our own neighborhood.
I mean, yeah, it'll be fun to see on the big screen.
That's it for this week's Loyola News Chicago.
Thanks for joining us and have a great weekend.